Mr. President, if you think about what we're doing with the bipartisan budget agreement, we're creating more certainty for our economy. And I wanted to take a few additional minutes to talk about a driving force in our economy that's creating good-paying American jobs, and that's our manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector right now supports about 17 million jobs in the United States. Those jobs are the backbone of a strong, thriving middle class, and they prove that it's still possible to make it in America. And in Colorado, our manufacturers literally have the wind at their backs. And I say that because our wind energy industry is not only a critical part of Colorado's manufacturing sector, but it's also an essential component of our Made in America strategy for energy independence. And that's why I'm proud to have successfully fought to ensure that the manufacturers who power our wind energy industry have the policies they need to create jobs and thrive. These policies support American workers, and they ensure that we're giving a leg up to all sources of American-grown energy. I've been proud to lead these efforts here in the Congress, including when I delivered 27 speeches on the Senate floor last year that culminated in the extension of the production tax credit for wind. Now, Mr. President, wind energy, which is enabled by the wind PTC, supports thousands of manufacturing jobs across this country. And that's because building a wind turbine takes a heck of a lot of work. And it involves everyone from steel workers to electricians to computer engineers. These are good-paying, middle-class jobs that help to grow our economy from the middle out. And these are jobs that are not only not being offshored, they can't be offshored. They're staying here in Colorado and across our great nation. To prove that point, just look at this map of wind manufacturing facilities across the United States. There are more than 550 manufacturing facilities in every region of the country, spread across 44 states involved in the wind industry. I'm making sure the presiding officer's state is represented, and I think it is, the great state of Delaware. Here's some of the concerns all across our country. You've got ZF Windbox gear manufacturing in Georgia. You've got TPI Composites has a turbine plant in Rhode Island. You've got the molded fiberglass blade plant in Texas. And I've got to return to Colorado. We have Vestas in my home state. They have a tower facility, among others. And this all adds up to a wind industry that supports thousands of good-paying American jobs. And as this job-creating industry has taken off, it really couldn't have come at a better time for our manufacturing base, which after a lot of tough years in the wake of the recession is ready for resurgence in a big, big way. A lot of other companies and sectors are outsourcing American jobs. And while that's been happening, the wind industry is cutting against the grain, creating good-paying manufacturing jobs right here in the United States. And in fact, more than 50 new facilities, manufacturing facilities, entered the wind energy market in the last 2 years alone. That's an impressive statistic. It's an accomplishment that we all should be proud of. And the success, Mr. President, of the wind industry is having positive ripple effects on other areas of American manufacturing. And that's because the industry is not only growing, but it is doing so while also increasing its use of American-made components. And this chart makes that point very, very clearly. In 2007, 25% of all wind turbines included American-made parts. And in 2012, as you can see, that number had increased to more than 70%. And it's one of the main reasons for the dramatic increase in manufacturing facilities across our country that support this wind energy industry. And this isn't just about the manifestations of the wind energy world that we think about in blades and towers. It's about gears and nuts and bolts and all of the other Made in America components that are now helping to power our renewable energy future. But, Mr. President, there's some worrying storm clouds on the horizon, because despite all of this progress, despite all of the American jobs supported by this innovative industry, we are truly, again, at a crossroads for wind energy. The PTC, which I've championed, others have joined me in this chamber, has helped keep our American manufacturing sector strong, but it's once again going to expire in just about 20 days. Previously, I joined many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, including Senator Chuck Grassley, the father of the PTC, to extend this tax credit. Now, with the clock ticking, we need to step up and give this industry the long-term certainty it needs to keep creating jobs and working towards true energy independence. Mr. President, in our pursuit of a balanced approach to energy security, we've supported domestic energy production across the board. I see my good friend from Oklahoma, Senator Coburn, is here. We needed all of the above approach. But if we let the wind PTC expire, we will put one of the cleanest sources of American-made energy at a competitive disadvantage relative to traditional energy sources. And that's because even if the production tax credit for wind expires, tax credits will continue for traditional sources of energy like oil and gas. So we've got a choice to make. Will we act to preserve American manufacturing jobs and support domestically produced clean energy? Or will we choose to do nothing and let other countries claim our manufacturing jobs and the leadership of the new energy economy? These aren't trivial questions. Allowing the wind PTC to expire will cost thousands of American jobs and billions of dollars in investment. And all you have to do is look at what's happened to wind capacity installation over the past 15 years when the PTC has expired. Every time it expires or comes close to expiring, wind installation stalls and American jobs are lost. And we see that pattern, Mr. President, as the year 2000 opened, and 2002, 2004, and now potentially again in 2013. In my home state, you can't talk about manufacturing without talking about the wind industry. Wind manufacturing employs about 1,500 people in Colorado today and supports about 5,000 jobs statewide. As I alluded to earlier, we're home to several manufacturing facilities, including a tower facility, 2 blade plants, and a nacelle factory. They're all operated by the great Vestas company. And last year, due to the lack of certainty about the PTC, no new orders were placed for wind turbines, and Vestas was forced to let go over 600 employees in Colorado alone. And that hurt cities like Pueblo and Brighton, whose local economies have significantly benefited from the manufacturing jobs that the wind PTC supports. And after my effort and the effort of others to extend the PTC last year, orders again started flowing, and Vestas is again hiring workers to meet the market demand. That's good news for Colorado. These are jobs with good benefits. And what concerns me, and I know what concerns Vestas and other Colorado-based companies, is that these jobs can vanish if we here don't act. That's what this is all about, Mr. President. These jobs can vanish if we don't act. So I'm back here. I'm renewing my call from last year. We should act now to extend the wind production tax credit, or we risk losing this industry and the manufacturing jobs that it creates to our competitors. Where are those competitors? They're in China, they're in Europe, and they're elsewhere all over the globe. And that's the last thing our economy needs. The men and women employed in manufacturing facilities across the country are calling on us again in Congress to act. Let's heed their call. Let's act now. The PTC equals jobs. Let's pass it as soon as possible. Let's save these American jobs by extending the production tax credit. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.